So today, I will be talking about how to acquire, develop, and retain the most suitable candidates for your analytics team. You're probably wondering, why did I choose this topic? And why do you have to sit through 20 to 30 minutes of me talking about this particular topic? If you've ever hired for data scientists, I want to ask you, do you have any difficulty hiring for the right data scientists for your team? And once you've hired them, have you experienced difficulty retaining them? So we read a bunch of articles online, data scientist is the sexiest job of 21st century, there's lots of money to be made. However, the truth is, according to Financial Times, data scientists typically spend 1 to 2 hours a week looking for a new job. So my hope is that by better understanding the inner workings of a data scientist, we can create a better culture where data scientists don't have to look for another job. And that's better for you, so you don't have to backfill a role that's already hard to fill to begin with. My name's Michelle Lee. I'm a data scientist at Altair, and I specialize in financial services and CPG. I recently relocated from Toronto to the Singapore office, and I'm excited to support the data science team here in this region. Altair, among its many software offerings, has a data intelligence solutions called KnowledgeWorks. We've been in this space for over 20 years, and we cover the process starting from data preparation to machine learning to real-time visualization. Today, I'll first talk about what the key traits of an effective data scientist are. We'll move to how we can build up your analytics team internally, and then I'll touch upon what motivates your data scientists and how you can support them. So let's start with some key demographics. This is done by Birch Work Study, and it surveyed 421 data scientists. 94% of these data scientists had advanced degrees, a master's or a PhD, and a majority of them studied mathematics and statistics, computer science, as well as engineering. Of the 421, 17% of them are women, and 83% of them men. They also recovered a few key trends in the field. The first one being the emergence of the citizen data scientist. So in an effort to better connect the technical teams with the other lines of business, many organizations have introduced the role of citizen data scientist. So these are people with a strong analytics background and also strong business acumen who can effectively translate between the quantitative teams as well as the other lines of business. They are effectively stewards of data science initiatives, freeing up the time for specialized data scientists to continue doing their innovative work. There's also the push for visionary leaders. So organizations have seen the value of data-driven decision-making, and now there's a high demand for leaders who not only have high, compelling leadership skills, analytics knowledge, as well as who are well-versed in the new technologies and potential use cases to elevate the business. And then finally, the demands for specialized skill sets. So analytics in many firms are maturing, and now they're pivoting and looking for data scientists with specialized skill sets that could elevate their business. So for example, looking for people with NLP specialists, reinforcement learning for robotics, or even domain expertise in IoT and ad tech. So of course, as we're looking for more specialized skill sets, the talent pool also narrows down. So let's go through some key traits of an effective data scientist. The first one is business and domain experience. So this person has an understanding of the business across many value chains, including marketing, operations, as well as sales. A person who has domain experience has the opportunity to step back and look at the business problem or situation from multiple different points of view. There's also critical thinking. Right? Data scientists need to be critical thinkers. They need to apply objective analysis based on fact prior to formulating opinion. And this is probably why our field favors those with advanced degrees. They've proven their ability to work on a tough problem from beginning to end. A statistics expert, right? This is someone who knows the appropriate tests to apply, as well as the right statistical methods based on the different classes of problems. And the desire to learn. Our space is ever changing, right? With increased computing power, the varieties of data available, as well as the large volumes of data being collected, this person needs to keep up with the new technologies and the new algorithms and the new computing methods to keep up with the space. So somebody who doesn't have a desire to learn will have a difficulty keeping up. And this is actually one of the main questions that I was asked from my chief data scientist prior to getting my job. He asked, are you interested in learning? Do you like to learn? Because this is a space where you have to continue learning. That's just a prereq. And then programming knowledge. This needs to be both computational as well as statistical. You need to be able to manage high volumes of data, streaming of data, as well as applying the appropriate statistical techniques. And exposure to various data architecture, especially in this day and age where we have disparate data sources across data lakes, different formats in servers, as well as web data, for example. Someone who has knowledge of the internal and external data sources, how they are gathered, stored, and retrieved, will really thrive in this field. And then finally, a visualizations and communications expert. So no matter how complicated your model, no matter how high accuracy your model derives, if you aren't able to communicate the business value, right, to the different stakeholders in management, then these insights won't be turned into action. Of course, beautiful charts and visualizations help with this, but ultimately, a data scientist needs to be a good storyteller. They need to communicate the business impact of their analysis to the different stakeholders, right? We are at the intersection of data, business, as well as technology. So data scientists need to be adept at telling these different stories to the different domain and business stakeholders. This brings me to Bill Gates and Michelle Obama, right? I could bet that most of us here would want them on our team, whether it's a leader, whether it's a consultant, whether just someone to talk to, right? After all, these are two of the world's most admired people of 2019. They have extraordinary skills, and we could call them unicorns. Within data science, people who have these 7 traits are also considered unicorns. Of course, hiring and finding these particular people are extremely hard and may not be the most effective, right? You can either hire externally or look internally to upskill your data professionals. After all, your needs might change over the years. You may need someone who specializes in NLP today. However, that might change in a few months, right? So consider investing in people with the necessary skills to tackle the challenges of today as well as the future, right? And this brings me to upskilling data professionals, okay? This diagram shows the progression from descriptive analytics to prescriptive analytics. Okay? As we move towards prescriptive analytics, it requires more time, more labor, and more expertise. But at the same time, there's great business value. So when we think about upskilling those who are focused on building descriptive and diagnostic reports, we should think about equipping them with the necessary skills to ask questions that pertain with predictive analytics. They'll go from asking questions like, what has happened, to what could happen. So once you've identified your high potential employees for data analytics, work and invest in them. I have a few suggestions for you. The first one is bring in training providers to create customized training courses, right? Companies like Airbnb, Amazon have created their own in-house analytics courses. However, that may not be the fastest and most cost-effective strategy given the rapid development of the field. So consider bringing in external training providers companies like Udacity, and even local education institutions who are designed to be more nimble in editing and changing their data curriculum. And we see a lot of them here. Also, make it a top-down priority. So communicate the overall purpose or goal of your training program and how it aligns with your strategic priorities company-wide. And make sure you tell this to the trainees so they can see the bigger picture. And keep in mind the performance paradox, right? This is the theory at which innovation is actually stifled with all the evaluation metrics, performance metrics, and evaluations that are commonly seen within organizations. So we have to make room for creativity and make room for innovation. And management needs to be proactive in this, right? We know there will always be deadlines. We know there will always be monthly and quarterly activities, but we need to plan the work to make room for creativity. This brings me to my last point. We need to provide opportunities to practice on new projects. So in order for the knowledge and skills gained during training to really stick, employees need to apply this on the job, right? According to Harvard Business Review, only 58% of US workers said their employer provides opportunities to apply their new knowledge and skills on the job. So provide these new opportunities, right? New opportunities to launch projects that could elevate the individual business unit. Otherwise, the money invested in training will be ultimately wasted, right? Also, you can leverage mentorships, both internally and from Altair data scientists. Within companies, there are already lots of senior data scientists, I'm sure, that have knowledge about the success measures, the past projects, as well as the relevant use cases that can be shared with junior or new data scientists. At the same time, you can bring in an external specialist. You can partner Altair data science mentors with some of your new data scientists to work on specific use cases, and we can guide them based on our domain expertise. Right? And there needs to be leadership to sustain the upskilling of your analytics organization. 3 McKinsey partners went as far as to suggest that there will be a new role in the C-suite that oversees the upskilling of an entire organization across all departments. They said, just as the role of CTO became commonplace over the past 2 decades, the Chief Skills and Learning Officer role may become more common in the decade ahead as organizations need to retrain, redefine, and redeploy workers. And I'm not saying we need another role in the C-suite necessarily. However, upskilling as a strategic priority from the top is really key. And this is a survey done by PwC where they asked 1,001 AI-savvy executives what their plan is to adapt to the nature of work and how it's changing as a result of AI in 2019. 60% of them said that they have a plan to implement continual learning initiatives that include AI. And 9% said they have yet to develop a plan. So my question is, where does your organization fall within these 2 categories? Right? In whichever category you fall in, you can lean on tech to quickly upskill your data professionals. GUI-based tools like KnowledgeWorks decreases the ramp-up time for analysts to build machine learning models, right? If your end goal is to empower your analysts who build monthly reports, then automate these reports so they have time to focus on building new machine learning projects. At the end of the day, your analysts can build and perform data prep tasks, build machine learning models without needing to code. All right? And once you've upskilled your data professionals and equipped them with the necessary tools to thrive, let's talk a bit about what motivates them so you can retain them. All right? So this is from the Birch Works study. Data scientists are what we call mission-driven, right? When you think about it, we can spend hours and hours analyzing one single file of data. right? At the end of it, we'd like to know how our work is being used. And you don't have to be saving the planet necessarily. However, it could be as simple as working for a data-driven company. So does upper management, are they aligned with the data strategy? And I'm talking budgets and all. Do they put their money where their mouth is? Right? It could be as simple as that. Also, we like to work on challenging problems. Okay? And again, as you are advertising for your role, make sure you're clear and transparent on the expectations. I think that's one of the top reasons why data scientists would leave within 1 month or 3 months of accepting a job offer. And again, you don't have to be DeepMind AI or Google to have interesting problems to solve. It could be as simple as solving a new problem for the business that gives the data scientist the freedom to explore different approaches. And we like to exchange and network with peers. Okay? We like to know how different industries, companies, applications are using the same type of algorithm and approach. Maybe it's because we're a little bit nosy, but we want to know everything, right? So working with a team that we can collaborate with and learn and grow with goes a long way. And that's even one of the top reasons for a data scientist to stay, if their team is great. And then finally, continued learning. The nature of data science is iteration and R&D, right? So naturally, you can probably find your data scientists reading new papers published, new books on machine learning, probably exploring Kaggle on their free time. They're passionate people. So by supporting their education habits and their learning habits, that's a very great way to show that you care about what we care about. Things like admission to talks and conferences, as well as education stipend, really go a long way. And I'm sure you want an example of a company that's doing this. And I don't want to brag, but I feel like Altair has been taking care of us pretty well. And here are 3 different ways of doing that. The first is our global Kaggle team. This is an opportunity for us to explore new powerful algorithms. We can expose ourselves to different applications of data science in emerging fields. Remember, we tend to specialize in certain areas. So this gives us the space to explore the other areas, to expand our creativity. And it also fosters teamwork across regions. We also have our Global Technical Academy. It just ran its 300th session. And these are webinars focused on successful service engagements, new product development, and industry innovations. And this is a platform for the technical teams to showcase their work. And then finally, we have our Global Data Science Summit. So this is a knowledge exchange between experts specializing in different fields. And this allows us to connect offline to build stronger relationships so we can collaborate online. After all, our team is located around the world, North America, Asia-Pac, Europe, and we all specialize in different industries. So I want to thank you for participating in my talk and for listening to the key traits of an effective data scientist, how you can upskill effectively, and what motivates us so you can support us a little bit better. And I'm pretty confident that with an open mind, you guys can charge on and make an impact on your organization. And hopefully, your data scientists only spend 15 minutes a week looking for a new job. Thank you. Questions? Okay.
Question time. You can raise your hand. We've kept this very exciting prop around the hall.
Hey, so you mentioned the key traits of a data scientist. Could you maybe cover, in rank of importance, the traits of a data scientist? Like, which one would be the most important, which one would be the least in all of them?
Okay, so based on the key traits, which are the most important, which are the least?
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's the whole package. That's really what I was trying to say. In terms of having these key traits in a particular person may not be as important as having these key traits in a team. So of course we need somebody who has strong programming knowledge, right? Otherwise, there's not much to get done. But at the same time, it doesn't matter how great their programming knowledge is if we can't express the benefits of the analysis that they did. Exactly. So I don't know if we can rank, I think it needs to be all-encompassing, really. But I think programming is important, domain and knowledge expertise is important, and visualization is important. Yeah, and then I'm just going to name them all. So I think, sorry. Yeah, I think they're all fairly important.
Okay, thanks.
Excuse me? Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. In an analytics team, should we keep it a combination of only the data scientist, or should it be a combination of data scientist and some domain expertise?
Within your team?
Yep.
Yeah.
What is a good mix?
Right, right. So within a data analytics team, I've really simplified it here and just focused on like the data professional role. But however, there's also the data engineers that gather the data and make that usable. So I think having a leader that has that domain expertise perhaps is a good falling back, because then he can understand the analysis done by the data scientists, and if they're not capable in expressing the benefits to the business, at least that business leader can.
Hi, Michelle.
Hi.
Thank you so much for providing such a detailed traits for any data scientist. So there is one more issue which large organizations are dealing with. So we are aware that, okay, we have to embark the journey on AI and ML, and data scientists and analytical team is important to have. But the leaders, the people who can make decisions, so they are not very well aware of what kind of technologies which are available. So they have a huge set of data. The challenge is they are entirely dependent on the newcomers who are into data analytics team. They are not able to comprehend and think about what kind of data we should ask for. So they are aware that, okay, we need to invest time and money into analytics team. But how can we train those people who are at, I would say, middle management level, senior middle management level, so that they can also go back and sit with the analytical team and convey back to them what exactly are they looking for? Because many times the analytical team brings out something and they feel that, okay, we want something more than that, but they are not aware what's the definition of more. So how can we train those people? How can we give them more information? Okay, this is data which is available, and this data can bring out these kind of things.
Okay, so that was a lot. I don't know if I caught everything, but based on the consulting experience I have, the biggest issue normally is, what are you trying to solve, right? And I think that's where people sort of miss, because they say, okay, I want a product recommendation, I want this, I want that, but why? So I think if we understand why this product or this solution should be implemented in the company, we can then explore the different approaches. And this is where it empowers that person who might not have knowledge about what the data is available to then ask the different business stakeholders what data they have, and then from there decide on what they need. So I think ultimately more communication between the leaders, the actual people doing the analysis, and the individual business stakeholders that probably own that data.
Hi, Michelle.
Yeah. We have been hearing about the traits of data scientists. Has there been any study or observations about the traits that the project manager of a data science project should have? Or the traditional PMP is good enough?
Oh, that's an interesting,
yeah,
that's an interesting question.
Because as data scientists, many times there is always, I find that people coming with the traditional software engineering, project management kind of a background are put in jobs for leading data science projects and data analytics projects, and I suspect there might be an impedance mismatch between the two. So your observations on that?
Right, so effectively translating between teams, I think the main thing a data scientist has to remember when working with a project manager, for example, is think about what they care about, right? They don't really care about what we care about. They can care less if we're like, we need a little bit more time. Like, we've been having difficulty accessing this data and really analyzing it to begin with. Like, they don't care about that. What they care about is, are we close to the deadline? The time frame that you gave us, is that correct? Are you able to deliver? When can you deliver? So I think keeping in mind what they care about and communicating that to them is what is key. And ultimately remembering that not everybody cares about what we care about, and not to take it personally. Any other questions?
Michelle, thank you for your presentation. Hi. So I represent the hiring team for ZenDrive, and one of my biggest problems is to hire and retain data scientists. So just wanted to know a little bit on your global technical academy that you have, and how do we approach that?
So, sorry, you want to know more about the Global Technical Academy?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that essentially is an internal initiative. So what we found was that Altair has many different areas of business. So traditionally, we've excelled in engineering, but we also have recently acquired DataWatch with its data intelligence platform, where we really excelled in financial services as well as CPG. So trying to share that information across a global organization is very tough. So this Global Technical Academy sort of cuts it down into different pieces and allow technical team members to talk about the work they've been doing, right? So, because when you think about it, if you sit in the same office with somebody and you hear a little bit about what they're working on, you can just go in and ask them about it. But because we're located around the world, that can be really hard. So that's just a space for people to learn about how one client is doing things in Europe that gives us more ideas of what we can do within our region.
Thank you so much, Michelle.